What's up, everybody? It's your host, Holman. I'd like to welcome you back to the Truck Show Podcast. Man, it's been real busy the last couple of weeks. Had some family travel. We had school starting up for the girls. I'm still trying to catch up and find some balance between work, life, recovery, family, all that stuff. But I think we're getting there. Just last week, we had a couple of friends from AMSOIL who were in town. They swung by the shed for the very first time, and it was great to visit with them and show off our humble little studio where the magic happens every week. And man, there's been so much stuff going on. I think one of the bigger things is I've also been tying up loose ends on the new Jeep. So last Friday, I swung by Glendale Jeep up in Glendale, California, where I caught up with my friend Jackson Ellis, the best dealer in SoCal for Stellantis products, period. If you're looking to buy one, send me your info, truckshowpodcast@gmail.com, and I will be more than happy to hook you up with Jackson. Had yet another great buying experience with him, and despite hearing this noise, when I saw the bill, they took great care of me. So in all seriousness, if you're looking for a Jeep dealer, go to Glendale, and I'll hook you up with Jackson. So I guess it's official. After 5 months, I'm back in the Jeep family. Yes, thank you. I will sit down. It's not like it's just this whole thing about me feeling normal again and being able to hit the desert, which I haven't done in 5 months. No, it has nothing to do with that. Actually, I'm excited for when I go pick it up because I think I'll hear this noise. But that's a few weeks out. I finally did get my one-way ticket to Detroit, so I'll be able to go pick up my Jeep at AEV after the conversion work is done at the end of the month. Super excited for it, and added some new products to this build that are different than the old one. There's AEV's new high steer kit. I changed up the wheels, things like that. Went to all terrains instead of mud terrains just to give me a little bit of a smoother ride, and the ATs will do everything that I want them to do. So anyway, it's definitely exciting both to get the new Jeep home and to start the new build on it, but this will also be exciting because it's my first cross-country trip since the accident, so I'm excited to get some windshield time and clear my mind before the big rush of SEMA time starts. And don't be like my wife and family. Don't worry about me. I'm going to be fine. I will promise to be doing regular updates on social and maybe some bonus podcasts from the road to keep you guys up to speed with where I'm at and how it's going. And by the way, when I was at Glendale, I might have been looking at some Gladiator Mojaves because my Aria lease is up soon at the end of next month. And there's some sick, as in good, great lease deals on the Gladiator Mojave right now. And Jackson may have pulled one over for me to just eye. Unfortunately, that day he wasn't giving 2-for-1 Jeep deal. So got the 392 ton and I said, give me till the end of the year. I may be back for one of these. I definitely need to get myself back into a midsize pickup truck for my daily. So we'll see how that works out. And of course, I'm still working on a show around a budget-friendly midsize truck, but we have so many great guests that all of a sudden got scheduled and booked for the next few weeks. I might have to push that a bit. There's just a lot going on. It's crazy. In this episode, we welcome my good friend Brit Mansell from American Adventure Lab on the show. I've been trying to get him on for months. Fortunately, he was in town for the Nitto Jeep Bash this past weekend at Bolsa Chica, just a few miles from my house, and the timing finally worked out, so he came in and got to check out the pod shed for the first time, and we actually got to sit down with him in studio. So before we get started with our friend Britt, we got to thank the companies that make this show possible. The Truck Show Podcast is brought to you by the following sponsors. AMSOIL launched the industry's first synthetic motor oil back in 1972, and AMSOIL continues to innovate with a wide selection of synthetics that are formulated, blended, and packaged right here in the United States. These specialized lubricants are engineered for what you drive and how you drive. AMSOIL's Shop by Vehicle tool offers package size recommendations to maximize savings and includes AMSOIL's Ultimate Oil Change Kits. AMSOIL offers the protection you demand and the performance you deserve. Get yours today at AMSOIL.com. The perfect complement to your truck is a Kershaw knife. All Kershaw knives come with a limited lifetime warranty and repair parts are readily available through the website. Kershaw knives include lifetime sharpening, and the lineup has everything from EDC knives that can be used and abused for under $50, all the way up to high-end collectibles. Thanks to our generous partnership with Kershaw Knives, Truck Show Podcast listeners can get 40% off MSRP and free shipping over $50 by using the code 2TSP2025. It can be used more than once and even includes automatics. Visit kershaw.kaiusa.com today. When it comes to amazing vehicle-based adventure content, how-tos, and great storytelling, Only one brand is doing it right in the print magazine space, and that's OVR, Outdoor Vehicle Recreation. OVR is about getting out there in our vehicles to explore and discover the world around us. Get complimentary access for a year to the digital library or a discount on your print subscription today at ovrmag.com. Use the promotional code at Truck Show Podcast. And don't forget, the Truck Show Podcast survives off of sponsorships and your reviews. Please help me to keep it free by supporting our sponsors and leaving reviews and comments on Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
The Truck Show. We're gonna show you what we know. We're gonna answer what the truck, 'cause truck rhymes with the Truck Show. We have the lifted, we have the lowered, and everything in between. We'll talk about trucks that run on diesel, electricity, and on gasoline. The Truck Show, the Truck Show, the Truck Show. Oh.
It's the Truck Show with your host, Coleman.
I hope you guys still sing along with me on the Truck Show theme song intro there. I know it's not the same without lightning, but I'm going to try. I try anyway. All right, well, at least I wasn't alone for this episode of the Truck Show Podcast. Let's hear the interview with our friend, Brit Mansell from American Adventure Lab. All right, with me today in studio in the pod shed is my good friend, Brit Mansell from American Adventure Lab. And I've been trying to get you on the show for the last time was maybe 3 years ago you were on. I'm like, hey, you have a lot of stuff going on. Come back on the podcast.
Yeah, I really don't get to plan my day at all. So it's basically just, putting out the biggest fire. And sometimes those fires are foreseen and a lot of times they're not. So this happens.
I had a few of my own fires where we're like, hey, I'm going to be out there. Let's do this. Oh, yeah. Hey, I'm going to take, there'd be like 4 months where I'm not going to do anything. So
exactly.
Anyway,
that's how life goes.
Before we get started, I want to thank you because when I was laid up in your town,
right down the street,
came and visited us, but you were also super helpful with getting the Jeep out of the tow yard and storing it until insurance came. You helped my dad out with that, and then gave me a chance to give my last respects to it at the shop when I got out of the hospital.
Yeah.
So,
nope, glad to do it. You would do it for us,
yeah,
for any of us. So least I could do is help out where we can.
That was awesome. That was something that like one less headache of all the headaches, because there are many that was going through. I got an insurance bill the other day where it's like, oh, we billed for $170,000, and what insurance didn't cover is $25,000. I'm like, why do I have insurance? Like, what? They just went, no, just leave that. I'm like, well, I don't have that. So anyway,
what are you gonna do?
Yeah. Thankfully, GoFundMe and all that was great, but it's just, it's just so messed up. So anyway, not enough about that. I'm just happy to be back. I get to have my friends on the show. And before we get started, everybody gets an intro, so let's get into it.
Welcome to the parts department.
Screw, nut, filter, oil, grill, tools, wheels, tires, brakes, lights, gears, belts.
And your wife warns you not to.
Don't you spend our money!
And then you'll want to come back.
Except your wife is actually just outside the studio, and she's going to encourage everybody to spend money, I think, right, with American Adventure Lab.
I hope so. Yeah, that's part of her job, being supportive, right?
That's right. So how's it been since you were last on? I know that you have grown exponentially. I think you've been in business, 6 years?
Yeah, we'll be 7 years in November.
Okay, so, and 3 buildings?
We were 4 buildings in 4 years, and we're trying to find about 3 times the space that we have now. I think that's about what we need.
And that was a big building, when you made that step. And then you bought a bunch of equipment. And you got CNC or laser cutting machines.
That's right.
And I remember when you got it, it was like the big decision of like, this is a huge outlay, huge investment cost in capital. You could do it and hopefully blow up some more and have more capacity, and maybe even take on odd jobs from other people in Washington, Utah who might need those services. Or you could stay small and kind of max out where you're at. And you said, nope, I'm going to go for it. And since then, it's like,
yeah, it's one of those weird things where we were talking last week. Like, I can probably count on one hand the decisions that I got to make sort of on my own that weren't necessarily made for me.
Yeah.
By the, just the business and the momentum that it had. And the laser was one of those. We were spending about $6,000 a month in freight just bringing parts into the shop. Like that's the margin for a lot of those parts.
Sure.
So even that one, as expensive as those machines were, like I didn't really have a choice. It was either stop selling things or figure out a way to make them cheaper. And it just unfortunately took spending a bunch of money to make things cheaper. So
Yeah, right.
It's weird how that works.
Well, and it's funny because you guys have essentially, you jumped into the space. You are somebody that doesn't sleep a lot. You're always sort of innovating. I'll get funny little text messages with like a locked down YouTube file of like, hey, look, this is what I'm working on now. And then I'm like, ooh, can you do this? Yeah, hold on. Oh, check this one out, right?
Yeah.
And like, I can't remember how many times we've done stuff like that. It's fun because it's good, like to ideate products and things like that. And there's been a few things that you've done for me that you're like, I don't know if that's going to work as well as you think it is. And I'm like, no, I'm on this, right?
We'll try it.
And we tried it.
Absolutely.
And your big thing is American manufacturing. You're a family-owned company. You started this business from nothing and truly did something in the space that was innovative. And your tagline is innovation for exploration, right?
Right.
And you decided to not just copy what was out there, but iterate in a way that made it your own. You went to metal instead of some of the other materials out there, wood, for example, and some of the cabinetry and stuff like that. A lightweight aluminum, something that was strong and durable. And then you gave people modularity and the ability to customize on top of that. So if you're not familiar with American Adventure Lab, go to AmericanAdventureLab.com and basically started as like storage solutions for SUVs, for overlanding. But you have since gone way beyond that. The amount of products and even the little things like the paper towel holder.
Yeah, so the little it's funny you mentioned little things because that's actually been pretty key to us surviving in this weird economy. Like I kind of saw that coming, for 4 or 5 years, we would do 5,000 orders a day. Like it was just mind blowing, the big money that people were spending for a while. And, that's stimulus checks, that's all these other things that we were kind of worried about. And I thought, man, we need to like really diversify. So we spent probably a year developing a lot of like sub $200 products. And that was really key to sort of surviving the people just not wanting to spend big money. It's easy come, easy go, but if it doesn't come easy, it doesn't go easy either. So,
right.
But yeah, no, that's been great. And it's really sort of given me a little bit of inspiration because it's one thing to build this really elaborate drawer system, that has 50 different options and things like that. And that's super cool. But like, it's also kind of cool to build a better mousetrap.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of things that you can really touch that are small that haven't been just overdeveloped. And, like our propane tank mounts are a good example of that. And I've just really enjoyed the challenge of building a better propane tank mount, which seems like super weird.
It's funny because you put it out there, and it's one of those things that the way it's designed, you didn't know you needed a better one until you saw it, and you're like, oh, like I look at some of the products. So on the high end, you've got onboard auxiliary battery electrical systems, fully baked with all the mounts, the batteries, the controllers, all that stuff. You have onboard air where you take a ARB or similar compressor, got the mounting, got the routing, got everything you need. It's already been figured out where you can place it inside your vehicle. And you got drawer systems that are modular and they can stack on top of each other. Some can slide, some open, all those different things. But then you look at like the simple things. On a Wrangler JL, when you open up the tailgate, there's a little detent on top of the hump that holds the handle mechanism on the inside. That detent is big enough for a soda can. The idea was when they designed that, you put your beer can there and you have a cup holder on your tailgate. Well, when Dometic came out with their touch faucet, everybody's like, well, that's the perfect place for it, but it didn't fit.
Right. It fell off.
It fell off.
Because the tailgate's aluminum.
So the magnet didn't work and it just wasn't right. So one of your guys, I think he had a competition in the shop to kind of figure out, hey, ideate a product. So he made basically a spacer that has a puck that's smaller on the bottom and larger on the top. The puck on the bottom fits perfectly in that recess where the cup holder is, and the puck on the top fits the Dometic with you have a little piece of metal or steel.
A little magnetic disc with the faucet.
And then boom, it sticks right on there. And that was one of those products that's where I always use it, and I love that thing. And then your paper towel holder, how simple. You have 4 suction cups and a bracket that stick to your hatch. So when you open up the rear hatch, you have a paper towel holder right there where you're cooking dinner. You did one of the very first, if not the first, of the tailgate tables that didn't have any wires or straps or anything to it. Molly included.
It was the first.
That's what I thought. I just want to make sure I can get those angry emails at truckshowpodcast@gmail.com. And then you've got even little Molly panel wings that are on the inside that you don't need anything else to install these, but now you have extra functionality for strapping, a fire extinguisher, a flashlight, or anything like that. So, there's all these, your propane canister holders, your spare tire platform that can hold Max Tracks, Rotopacks, a Starlink Mini, and then you've got these base plates that can be used. And it's kind of like, we were just talking about the new iPhone came out. We kind of talked about that for a minute, but when the first iPhone came out, everybody knew it was cool, but you didn't really know how the apps were going to work or how people were going to use it. And now people are starting their cars with their phone and getting into their houses and all that kind of stuff. When you develop this base plate, you probably didn't realize the things that would come with it. And now you have this base plate where you can attach all sorts of things, drawers, sliders, whatever, pack out boxes from Milwaukee. Yeah. And now you have a base plate where those snap in and those get you. I mean, it's just...
Well, the cool thing about the platform is, like, we're obviously pretty CAD heavy in the shop. Pretty much everything we do runs through SolidWorks and then through the CNCs and things like that to come out pretty much exactly like we designed it. But the cool thing about the platform is once that's in a vehicle, we sort of know our constraints. We know our forward limits, back limits, things like that, and we know what's on the platform. So we can pretty much build anything somebody needs off of that platform, knowing what's in the vehicle already. Now, we try not to do a bunch of custom stuff because it's really hard to make money like that, but every so often we'll agree to something that sounds like it just might be a good product idea. And we're always very upfront with the customer. If this is something that we end up building, you get the first one for free. And we've done that quite a few times, but it's been cool to be able to just know that platform's in the vehicle and know that you can build off of it, know that it's really firm. Most of the platforms have an aluminum top plate and steel support bars underneath. So it's, you of all people know that it's very secure, holding all this cargo.
Well, let's talk about my accident where I had two of the low sliders that were bolted to the base plate that had my batteries for your onboard auxiliary house battery system.
And what did you call that?
Well, okay. So I can't remember if I told the story, but I told Brit, I said, okay, I don't want to have a drawer system that's in there all the time because I still have to use it for like softball equipment, and I don't want to have my fridge in there all the time. So I want a sliding system that's split in half, so two sliders, but I want them the low profile. So if I take everything out, it's a flat load floor, just like it would have been brand new before you put it in. And most people put in your stuff, even though it takes 5 minutes to take all that stuff out, you've made it and designed it in a way that it's easily removable. Even then, I'm like, no, I want it to work the way I want it to work. And I said, so can we put two low-profile slides next to each other? And you're like, because that way I got the fridge on the left, and on the right where I tie down my boxes, and the reason I don't have drawers is because back then I was testing vehicles. So I had a box that I would take with me all the time. So the nice thing was that box would be in my Jeep if I was camping, or if I was testing a vehicle, go in the other vehicle. So I didn't need a drawer system. I just needed a way to securely tie down a box in the back. And my idea was if I had two slides next to each other, I could pull one out and I could tie it down and secure it with it outside the vehicle, so I'm not crawling over the back seat and the fridge and all that. And then I can slide it in and it's locked and it's in its place. And so I coined it the slide-by-slide.
and we still talk about it. I'm pretty sure even like a couple of days ago, I was telling a customer, you can do two flat slides. And that's what you got were the flat ones. So if you guys can imagine, it's a normal drawer slider laid on its side with a super flat platform on top of it. And the reason we do the flat ones is so that you can have your refrigerator or your boxes spill over the edges of where the slides would be.
Yeah, so there's no like detent or walls on the side. Right. It's just a flat top. And they nest perfectly. You have incredibly high standards for fitment, and you're down to probably a couple mils or something like that. Or
hopefully not.
Where are you at?
I mean, it depends on what you're talking about. But like our mounting holes are 6.8 millimeters, and they hold a 6 millimeter bolt. And you get about 0.25, 0.3 mils of powder coat on that. So, yeah, it's just right.
I mean, everything just it nests together. There's nothing rubbing. The thing I also love is it doesn't rattle. Like your stuff is solid. It's lightweight. We joke about overloading, right?
Absolutely.
But it's bad if you put in a drawer system that is more than the cargo that you want to carry, right? Yeah. And so this is all lightweight stuff. But when I rolled over, I had my fridge bolted to your slide. And the fridge was full of food and Dr. Peppers and all that kind of stuff. And my understanding is the fridge stayed attached to the slide.
100%.
And the slides aren't even bent.
Nope.
And I think we can reuse the slides in the new Jeep.
Yep.
So
would be super cool.
I've gone. You brought me all the bits and pieces. I've done inventory, but I haven't decided. I haven't gone through to see which ones are true and which ones might need to be replaced. But we can talk about it later. But I have an idea. I think I've been noodling, and I told you I want to do this one a little bit different. And you've been trying to get me to the dark side of the cargo shelf for about 4 years now.
Once you go cargo shelf, you never go back.
Well, so now, and I'll explain. We can get back to that. So I am a big fan, obviously. I didn't know you before I approached you through a mutual friend, and you and I have become good friends over time, and we've gone camping together, on events together. We talk all the time. And I tell my wife, I'm like, if Brit lived down the street, I'd be at his house all the time. Like we'd be hanging out or going on trips or whatever. And I've just been an admirer of what you've been able to build, self-made, the customer service, the quality of the product, and everything just works. And I love how much thought goes into it. Like, for example, you have aluminum sliders or base plates. So on the aluminum base plates, how do you make trap doors so you can get under them? So in the case of a seat delete for a mid-sized pickup truck in the back, or in the case of a Jeep to access the battery, well, you put these steel tabs with magnets on the aluminum covers, so they just snap in place.
That's right.
And that's it.
No rattles.
So no rattles, super simple.
Yeah.
I just like those little tiny things like that. And then when you first introduced was it the red box plate, right?
Yeah, that's right. It was funny.
I got it, but I was like, how many people are using Milwaukee packouts? And now all of a sudden, everybody.
There weren't a lot at the time. So.
And everybody's using them. And now you can nest all your Milwaukee stuff. And there's people who have work trucks. They're not overlanders. And they're like, I take Milwaukee packouts to the job site, and they're coming to you because they found this base plate, and now they can secure their Milwaukee packouts in their pickup bed.
We had a guy buy 10 of them last week. One order.
Wow.
Like how many vehicles,
So I guess a fleet guy or something,
I'm assuming so.
Yeah.
So it happens.
So let's talk about some of your applications. So you're known for Jeep JK, JL, of course, and then you got into Gladiator. Of course, you're a Toyota guy. People don't realize you love Land Cruisers.
Yeah.
A soft spot in your heart.
I wouldn't
for that.
necessarily say I'm a Toyota over
Maybe
anything else.
Maybe a Land Cruiser guy. I mean, there's a soft spot for a 60 series.
Yeah,
80
so
series?
I've had
Yeah.
60s and 62s, and we still have an 80 series now that I love that
So
can't
great.
run,
Peak Land
unfortunately.
Cruiser.
But I mean, I've had a lot of Toyota experience. But yeah, as far as Jeep versus Toyota, I wouldn't say I'm probably leaning either way. Really.
Although you would say JK's peak Jeep, right?
So two-door JK is my soft spot.
Okay, that's the go-to.
It is really, what I would prefer is like a manual, like Recon two-door JK.
So
perfect.
You can get a two-door JK with 35s from the factory now. And before my accountant said, no, you need the write-off. JL, sorry.
Yeah.
Before my accountant said you need the write-off and go get what you had,
right.
I was like, well, maybe I'll just not spend as much money and I'll get a two-door manual V6 on 35s. And I'm like, that would be so sweet. And then I'm like, oh, it's automatic only, 2-liter only. And I was like, oh.
Is that XR?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
didn't know they did it.
Yeah.
That sounds
so you
great.
can get a 35 JL two-door now. And it's so stubby and it's perfect. Like a two-door doesn't need 37s because it's so short.
Oh, no. So ours is, we just got a Sport, no lockers, nothing. And we took and did all the mountain passes, Black Bear and everything about a month ago. And now granted, that's not super technical terrain by any means, but like coming back down Engineer Pass there's some twisty
hairy
spots on it. Yeah. And like that thing didn't even go into 4-wheel drive.
Yeah.
It ran the whole trail, like the whole weekend in 2-wheel drive. And it never got into strain, and so nice.
My mother-in-law has I think it's a 2020. So I don't know, when my wife and I got married, she's always, we call her Grandma Red because she has red lipstick, bright red hair, loves red shoes. Red's her accent color. And so she loved the red Jeep. She's had, every one of her cars is red. And she decided one day, I want to get a 2-door red Jeep. And we all looked at her like, really? And so I helped her get one, and she got a Sport 2-door. I added the steps, like the plastic molded rocker steps to it. And it's got the power door locks and push button power windows, and that's it. Those are the only options.
Right.
And she's been talking about, like, it's kind of getting harder to get up in the Jeep. Maybe one of these days I'll get rid of it. I'm like, all I can think is just drool over.
Yeah, that one's on the chopping
your
block. Your
son-in-law would love to build a trail rig out of that.
Well, I mean, the thing about the JK is it's a little wider than the TJ platform.
Yeah.
Electric windows may be the one thing that I'm okay with. It's just hard to reach the other side of the Jeep. So those are cool, but it really doesn't have a whole lot else that's in the way except like some ABS stuff.
I mean, there's a few like wheel sensor issues that are kind of known on a JK. JL's a little more complicated. That's why I kind of like JK's sort of peak, right?
Yeah.
But if you look at a TJ, because of the way the frame rail spacing was, that and even a Cherokee unibody, the springs are so far inboard that if you get soft springs, the thing just kind of like wallows over itself.
Just don't have the leverage on it.
Yeah, so the JL and JK have such wider spacing that the coils are out toward the corners or the ends of the axle, and they're just a lot more stable in those situations, and they just handle, and they're a little bit bigger, they're a little bit heavier, they just feel like a more of a complete modern vehicle, and they're just, honestly, kind of once you get them set up right, either stock or set up correctly, they're a pleasure to drive.
Right.
So, and then you got into Bronco, you got into Lexus GX, Land Cruiser. Now you have the new 4Runner.
Yep.
So you're getting all the bases of the people who like to go out and adventure.
Yeah, and for us, it's just like we have unlimited opportunity. So there's no, we don't have any shortage of things to build. It's just bandwidth, just time and people and stuff like that. So, and we've added some really key roles in the shop in the past few months, and we have some big expectations for a lot more volume this year.
Awesome. I know that's kind of, you fight that on social a little bit. Like there's the ebb and flow of catching up, and people are like, I ordered this thing, but even though you put on the website, this has a lead time where like it's gonna be a while. But
yeah, so right now we're at like 2,300 SKUs that we manage, and that's not parent products necessarily. That's just individual parts and things like that. But I mean, the thing is, we either offer this big product line and build them to order, or we can not offer them at all, because you're not going to stock 2,300 parts in a relatively small business.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are our options. We build it to order, or we don't build it at all.
And then you have powder coating on top of that for customization that you allow on certain products. So that's another level of time and just effort. So that's
powder coating is most of the gray hairs on my face right now.
Yeah.
Just it's always kind of the last process, and like we literally have a phrase on the website that says powder coating is a process done by humans. Because it's a lot of the powder coating stuff is really hard, and so if you mess a part up, then it's got to go into the acid bath, and like it's a big deal.
And we start over.
Yep, you have to start all the way over. So
now, one of the big hits that I've been kind of watching, but seems like all of a sudden it's blown up, is you got into Gladiator and you started experimenting with some Gladiator products and some bed products. And then you got into Ranger with the Ranger Raptor. Right. And that community has like really responded to what you guys are doing.
Well, the cool thing about that truck is, so like the trails that I like to do personally I would consider them like technical overland trails.
Yeah.
I'm not a big hardcore rock crawling kind of guy. I like the scenery. I like to go out with people and have a good time and
find something historic. Go to a neat place that most people never see, or some scenery that you can't get from the highway.
That's right.
And
but I don't necessarily want to just ride around dirt roads.
Yeah,
like I like some challenges on the trail and stuff like that. The Ranger Raptor is basically the link, the Rosetta Stone between sort of hardcore trails and going fast in the desert. Like it's pretty dang good at everything. And I think that really struck a nerve in the market with a product that didn't exist.
And it's priced right too. 60 grand base for now. But you look at like where the TRD Pro is at high 60, 68, the AV edition of the Chevy Bison's around 68, 69. It's a pretty good value. I actually looked at a Ranger Raptor. I pulled back from that idea mostly because of the aftermarket is still pretty new to it. Sure. The 33s.
Well, the U.S. aftermarket.
The U.S. aftermarket.
Right. And so that's sort of the key for that truck is, like a lot of the vehicles that we get here, we get them first. Yeah. We got the JL before anybody.
Of course.
But the Ranger Raptor's been in Australia for 3 years before we got it.
And Australia has some great innovators for product down there.
They do, yeah, and they're hard on stuff.
Yeah.
So they get to evolve that pretty quickly. But yeah, we got that truck, and the truck was great when it rolled off the floor, and we beat the crap out of it from the day we got it.
I just wish I had 35s. That's my only thing. Like a little, like a 1.5 inch lift in 35s, and I know they do it because of the height laws in Australia. That's right. Australia basically took the engineering lead on Ranger Raptor, especially in the Ranger. But to me, it's like mid-sized truck on 35s is such a great sweet spot. And the Ranger Raptor off road, it's lively, it's engaging, it's fun. It's really dialed. Like if you don't have a ground clearance issue, it's just terrain. No problem doing any of it.
Yeah,
but there's times you'll hear it rubbing on the belly. Kind of Frontier is like that for me, where it's so good in a lot of different ways, but it's just a little bit too low. That's why I was kind of excited about this Roush version of it coming out. Whereas, Toyotas are still on 33s, but I wheeled, like rock crawled a GMC Canyon AEV on 35s, and it's just like brainless how good it is.
Yeah.
And you're just like,
crazy.
this is
35 is a good spot for like a medium sized truck, but it's a pain in the butt to get 35s on a Ranger Raptor.
Well,
like you got to cut things off the frame.
Well, and then I look at like there's the pucks and stuff, and I'm never a fan of that because all you're doing is adjusting where the truck sits in ride height. So if you add a puck to it and the truck sits in a different place of the shock stroke, you're outside the ride zone, and now it's like twisting your torsion bars as a kid, and now there's no droop. You only have compression, so you go into something, feel good, and then it'll top out, and you just feel the tires rip yank the frame down.
Yeah, and for me, we fight that every day. We have a really popular saying at the shop: everything's a trade-off.
Yeah.
Right. So for us, when we first got the truck, it was a high-speed toy.
Yeah.
Basically, it was a go-kart. And we rode it everywhere on the trail at significantly faster than you should have gone on the trail. But we beat the crap out of the undercarriage. Like it's every bar under that thing has got rock grash all over it. And so for me, like what I did go to the spacer route, and because I had to get at least 35s on it. So we put a nice set of Nitto Terragrappler G3s on it, and they're a true 35. And we've got a really big puck in the front and then a small one in the back. And I wouldn't say it like really hurt the truck, but it definitely is a noticeable ride difference. But it gets me up off the rocks a pretty good bit.
And you need that
trade-off. Yeah, unfortunately.
I mean, the type of wheeling you do, you're in southwestern Utah, so outside of St. George, and the world's your oyster there. I mean, there's a gazillion different ways to go wheeling and exploring and all that. I wanted to talk about on the Jeep Gladiator, you kind of have, maybe you can describe it, it's your like half-looking camper shell, and there's some reasons you did that, and it's been interesting to watch that product evolve because it went to a place for a mid-sized truck that I didn't think it would go, and I've seen it be grow and expand, and we all know the Jeep Gladiator suffers from a really shallow bed.
Yeah,
and that's one of the issues.
That's where it all started. We couldn't find a refrigerator from any of the name brands that would actually live under the bed rails, and that was the problem. And for us, we're in the desert, everything's dusty, and the beds of your truck is just a big vortex that fills up with dirt. So we had to get some type of either tonneau cover or camper shell or something like that. Well, my background being sort of off-road racing and performance off-road type things, I don't really like the high center of gravity from a rooftop tent. So, the previous solution would have been...
Me either, especially now.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah. The solution would have been something like an RSI Smart Cap with a rooftop tent on top, and which is an amazing setup.
Yeah.
I love that product. They did a really good job with it. But for us, I wanted the tent if we were going to run a rooftop tent, I wanted it as low as possible with the least amount of sort of riser back there to get over the fridge. So we came up with this sort of half shell idea. We call it a load bearing enclosure. It's all aluminum, and it's about, 10 inches above the bed sides, something like that. We run an internal structure inside for support. So you can think of it like an internal bed rack. And that's why I call it load bearing enclosure. So you can actually mount the rooftop tent directly to that structure. And we also have a bed rack that goes on the outside for different look and more support and stuff like that.
And you can also add lights and things like that. It's designed for scene lighting to be within the structure and all that. One of the products that I think it sort of really started, I think, in the Jeep and Toyota world, what is the seat deletes. But it seems to be hugely popular now in the truck world for crew cabs because a lot of people bring their dogs or they want their fridge on the inside with a slide that you can pull it out through the door to access it, or 100 different. Maybe talk about the evolution for you guys of your seat deletes, and then maybe talk about the 60/40 or 70/30 and kind of the different options people have for seat deletes.
Yeah. Like I said, seat deletes have been a thing for a long time. We didn't perfect that by any means, but for us, we basically. Our rear seat deletes continue the platform from the rear cargo section all the way forward, one big solid flat structure. And that's been great. And the reasons that people do those have just blown my mind. Like everybody's got a different need, and it's really cool to be a part of that. But, as far as it transitioning from SUVs into trucks, that was kind of a learning experience for me. And it's not just from SUVs to trucks, but it's from Jeep vehicles to non-Jeep vehicles has been a real learning experience as well. So
Is that because of the amount of options for fasteners and things like that are different? Is it the space? What was the challenge?
Well, I know. Looking back on it now, so we're like our Ranger seat delete's out. It's pretty proven at this point. Looking back on it, I think the Jeep builder, the Jeep owner mentality is different from like a Ranger or F-150 owner mentality. So what we've come to believe at this point is that people with Jeeps, sometimes, I'd say more times than not, the Jeeps that get built, and when I say Jeeps, I'm also talking about Gladiators
Sure.
and the platform.
Yeah.
A lot of time those vehicles are built and they're built out so far that they're very specialized, and they're not necessarily a daily driver, because that Jeep is super capable, but like I said earlier, it's also a trade-off. The more you build that, the different it drives and everything like that. But you get people that have Rangers and F-150s, and they're going back and forth, because that vehicle is such a comfortable daily driver and not real specialized. They're kind of generic platforms. We see people that, like, the number one requirement for our Ranger seat delete was they wanted to put the seat back in. I was like, I didn't see that coming.
Interesting.
Because
Okay.
we didn't see that in the Jeep world.
So you probably, because most of the people that I know who've done a Jeep seat delete goes up in their attic or their barn
Yeah.
or whatever, you never see it again,
Right.
or they
And it
sell it on
stays.
eBay and it stays.
Yep.
Or maybe when they sell the vehicle, they're like, oh, I got a brand new looking seat
That's
that you
right.
can put back
Yeah.
in there.
Yeah.
But there's not really a need for like a quick replacement or swap out in the Jeep side. But you're finding on the truck side, you kind of had to rethink the product to make that an option for people.
Yeah, and that obviously that's not for everybody.
Sure.
Like we do some commercial stuff, and obviously seat never goes back in.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as the like weekend deal, our Ranger seat delete, it probably takes 10 to 15 minutes to put the seat back in, and people are super fine with that. That's an easy enough process to do, and then you get to swap back and forth. And it was just something that we didn't see in the Gladiator world, or the Wrangler world especially.
Are you seeing, so you have the ability for a 70-30 or 60-40, however the seat split platform. So you can basically, let's say you want a 3-seater, you can take the 60 or 70% side and keep the single seat and
That's
have
right.
that be a platform. Or you can go the other way if you want to have the center section and the armrest and the other seat, and then just do the smaller 30-40% single
right.
side and make that a platform. Do you see that you have more customers that are choosing to go split platform seat, or are people like either all in or all out?
No, I mean, I'd have to look and tell you the exact number, but just feeling it, when the sales come in, it seems like we're doing more complete kits than individuals, which I would be
interesting.
kind of surprised at, if I was just trying to guess. But
Yeah, I mean, I would think that that you would have more people because of the flexibility of having the extra seat.
But you could just have people buying both sides and putting in whatever side they want.
That's true.
at
And
a
figuring I
time,
could add
so.
the other one if I needed.
Yeah,
or
they're
something.
pretty easy to swap. Like pulling the seat out's the hard part.
So is that all modular then? So if you were to buy basically the complete kit, you could make it a 2/3, 1/3 if
That's
you
right.
wanted to.
Yeah, so if you run the small seat, you get an extra bracket. Because basically the small seat bolts to the big seat
Yeah.
in all the vehicles.
Okay.
So yeah, if you want just a small one, there's another bracket that you bolt to.
So have you seen, as you've developed this business and as you've grown and expanded, that the modularity of componentry has been something that's helped you out to either customer retention or keep people coming back for more? Because there's that option. It's like Legos. You started from the beginning with, I want to have a base system that people can build upon.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that's really, I think, the sweet spot that kind of put us on the map is we didn't force people into a gigantic stack of drawers.
Yeah.
If you just wanted one, you could buy just one, and it's kind of like a good gateway drug. The platform sort of gets you started,
Yeah.
and then you realize the flexibility makes it really convenient. So, but yeah, I think so. And to my knowledge, and I'm sure there's somebody out there that had, but I had never seen like a drawer system where you could buy one drawer at a time. Usually they're in stacks of, 80/20 extrusions and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But no, we developed a really great drawer sort of module from day one, and it has evolved a little bit, and it's mostly evolved because our production capabilities have gotten better and more accurate. But the standard structure is the same as it was from day one.
Well, I'm thinking about modularity between my 20 JL, which was, I think, the first Jeep that we did something together on, and then my 23 392, and then talk about my 25 392 coming up. But through all of those things, I started with the mass platform, and that's your base plate. And you've even sent me stuff to try out. Like, hey, I've got this, what eventually became the flip and slide. It was like the prototype for that. You're like, hey, I'm going to send this to you. Play with it, use it for a while, tell me what you think. And I've done the flip and slide. I've done the flat slide with a big fridge, a 55 IM on there, which barely fits in a JL. I mean, it is like millimeters from touching, or it even touches if you have the Mopar mat on the back of the seat, if you don't want your fridge tearing up the carpet on the back. And it will touch the door, and you have to shave like a millimeter off to make room and stuff like that.
We touch all sides.
Yeah. So I'll get into my thought process on that in a minute. And then I've experienced through your different drawers and how they're set up, because we've gone camping or we've gone to events together, and you're like, hey, check out this new thing. And now you might have a drawer that you sized and it can fit a stove in it, and you can just roll it out and boom, plug in the tank to your propane holder, and you're cooking on the trail in 5 minutes rather than doing a big kitchen setup or something like that.
I do remember you saying that there's no way I would get a hamburger cooked during our trail stop.
And I was sitting there drooling because I was having a ham sandwich, watching your grilled onions and your hamburger go on the.
Can't beat it.
I was jealous, and that has not left my mind because it's going back to my thinking on the new Jeep.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of competitors, and you have some really good competitors too. There's some brands that are grade A like you guys, and then there's some cheap knockoff Chinese stuff that has literally stolen your stuff and rebuilt it, and people selling those in the States as their own, which is total freaking BS. And you run the gamut, but you have been really steadfast in standing for, this is what we do, this is what I believe in, and regardless of that noise, we're going to do our own thing. What has been your success with AAL?
Well, I think the difference between us and a lot of companies, especially some of the ones that you mentioned, is like, I do this every weekend, maybe not, some giant trip every weekend, but I'm out in one of our vehicles every weekend. And to maybe not my wife's favorite point, like, I'm always trying to come up with ideas to make the process better.
Yeah.
And so we're living this stuff that we build, and I use it, all the time. And I think you have to do that to constantly see ways to improve the setups and the process and adapt to new gear that comes on the market and that type of thing. And I use a bunch of different vehicles, and I think that's helpful because we definitely pull ideas from one platform to the other and that type of thing. So
yeah, there's definitely use case differences between them and setups and things like that.
Well, we also don't have a lot of walls in the company, and I mean that sort of metaphorically and physically. Like, I don't have an office. My desk sits on the production floor, and me and James and Trey, from sometimes, like, we're pretty much doing all the design work, and we can all literally whisper to each other at any point during the day. Well, not when the machine's on, but like, we don't have these barriers that some of the other companies do, and James, much like myself, we're out and we're doing this all the time. So it's not. We don't clock in and go to a job and be like, oh, what kind of product can I develop today? Like, we already know what needs to be developed before we get to work. So I think that's been a big difference.
How many of your products came from a need that you discovered in one of your excursions?
I can't imagine one that didn't.
Okay.
Maybe the T-shirts.
I don't know. Those T-shirts by the way, the T-shirt you're wearing right now, I've had mine for like 5 years, and now it's all like faded and and I looked because I was gonna get another one, and you don't have that one anymore. At least I didn't see it on the website.
They don't carry anymore.
I love that shirt because it's like it's one of the stretchy kinds of shirts, but it's a thick one, not the thin one. It's like the perfect shirt. And I went to get another one the other day. I was like, womp womp womp.
Same for me. Yeah,
So
that's why, like, most of the ones I wear, the logo's all worn off of them.
Yeah. Well, and it's my wife's like, you should probably are you gonna keep wearing that shirt? And I'm like, yeah, I'm not ready to get rid of it yet.
Right.
So it'll probably, I'll never get rid of it. It'll eventually become a rag in the garage or something like that, but I'm not at that point
yet. It's the most comfortable rag ever.
Seriously. I know. I love that shirt. So what's next for American Adventure Lab, and what trends are you seeing? What products are you focused on for the next level of development?
Trends. Wow. I don't know. I mean, the truck market's doing really good. There's a lot of really compelling options for mid-sized trucks. Colorado, like you mentioned, is doing really well. Those have taken off. I think that much like the JL did when it came out, it was a little bit more daily driver than the JK, and I think these trucks are even a step further that direction. Yeah. So But man, some of them are like really capable off the showroom floor.
Really capable.
So I think that's going to be really nice for a lot of people that, that don't have the budget or the desire to have a dedicated trail rig.
So that was going to be my next question is, do you think the increase in off-road capability from the factory helps your business out? What I mean by that is people aren't rushing to the 4x4 shop to have suspension, wheels, and tires because they're pretty good and lockers all from the factory. So that discretionary income that they would spend to upgrade their truck to go off-roading, they can kind of spend on products that raise the level of capability in the feature set, which is kind of where you come in.
Yeah. And what we see is instead of spending money on suspension, they're spending it on organization.
Yeah.
And like our whole desire as a company is to let people get outside and enjoy these places and these events and be more organized. The gear is more secure. It's safer. You don't have to unload every single item to get that thing out of the, from the bottom of your box every time. And that's been great. And I expect that the truck stuff takes off really well. We've got some like bolt-in truck bed floor rails now that basically allow you to install drawers and slides and things like that without drilling. As these vehicles get more and more expensive, people are less and less likely to drill holes in them.
Yeah.
So we focus a lot on these sort of no drill installations and things like that. And having those in there in the floor has been great for flexibility. We got a ton of stuff that's coming out for that. So.
Are you going to venture further into full-size truck territory or kind of hover in midsize?
Yeah. So we will definitely do full-size Ford trucks really soon, as far as in like the next couple of weeks, really soon.
Like really soon?
Really soon. Yeah, and so that one's an easy one for us. The F-150 is obviously pretty dominant in that world, and seeing that it shares the cab with Super Duty, that makes things a lot easier as well. So that's a pretty easy transition. We'll have some really cool stuff at Ford's Raptor Rally event in Havasu coming up in a few weeks. So some of that stuff will debut there in the back of a really nice Raptor R that's super cool.
Awesome. Well, speaking of new vehicles, I finally did the paperwork, and I'm a Jeep owner again, so...
Yeah.
My 392, you see the paper plate sitting on the desk, and they're not on the Jeep because the Jeep's in Michigan. I got to go fly and pick it up. But that means we have to start figuring out like what we're going to do on mine. And I've been kind of reimagining it. And probably the biggest question I've had from a lot of people is like, what are you going to do differently? And it's been, I've bounced some things off you. I've played on, different configurations and drawings of what I want to do. I've gone on the website to see customer photos on what I want to do. And I think I'm getting closer. So obviously I still want to do the same house battery system, electrical system.
So
but
we have some new things coming for that.
Okay. Is one of them batteries?
Yes, absolutely.
Because I was worried about that. And I was like, you can't find those batteries that we were using on Amazon or anywhere anymore.
The battery market is evolving like mad right now. Things are getting smaller. So the capacities are
more dense.
Yep, yeah, absolutely. We've got several batteries that we're actually working with now that are significantly more amp hours than you had before.
Because on a 392, because the exhaust, my old Jeep, my V6, I had the compressor and the battery side by side under the tray, but because the exhaust cuts into that space, you can only choose one or the other on the 392, which caused some other downstream domino things that have to be figured out.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was even a single. Like if you wanted a compressor, you couldn't even get the big one.
Yeah.
So it's all of the sort of pneumatic valves that control the output of the muffler that are in the way. So, so that space where yours had the battery, you had 230 amp hour
230s,
batteries?
yeah. So I had a 60 amp hour system.
Yeah. So oddly enough, they downgraded that battery to be 20 amp hour now.
What?
So you can still get it. Yeah, I mean, I think they just measured it wrong when they started, conveniently.
Yeah, maybe. Which is interesting because I had the little display, and on my 20, on my V6, it was always super accurate. And I feel like on 392 it was never accurate. I reprogrammed it. I double-checked my wiring. And it always felt like it wasn't what it said it was.
Yeah. Well, the battery world's weird. It's very heavily Chinese influenced, and a lot of those batteries are CE listed, which is not super great. But our thing is we have to adapt the battery to the space. So we don't necessarily get to hang our hat on any one particular brand as much as I wish we could. So every manufacturer has different battery case options that they offer, and they fill those with different chemicals. Some are more efficient than others, but there's definitely there's several batteries out now, even some like UL listed stuff that were pretty exciting that are really dense and really small.
Oh,
so yeah.
I'm super
I'll
excited.
send you
about
some
that.
links.
All right, send me some links because I want to redo that. And then I know I've got the Red Arc, the old school BCDC.
Mm-hmm.
Does it make sense to get the newer upgraded one with the vision on
Do you
it?
have the
Or
40 or the
I have the 40 is the bigger one, right? It's 25 or 40. I had a 40.
Yeah. I wouldn't think so.
Okay.
No, I mean that's a great product that's going to last forever.
I love that product.
Yeah.
I did have the inverter, which I think survived the accident. It's not in 1,000 pieces like some other things are. And the Molly panel that it was mounted on was only slightly tweaked a little bit. That one will need a new Molly, but I don't know.
Can't imagine why.
Yeah, right. I think I'll put it back in. The only question I didn't realize, and this comes back to the battery and amp hour situation. I didn't realize that it being on drew so many amps. Not even having something plugged in.
Much.
It was enough on a 60 amp hour where it was like, ooh, I'm probably not going to make it through the night with my Starlink plugged in here. I'd rather have my Starlink plugged into a port, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't do that. Yeah, for sure. That conversion is expensive.
Very expensive in terms of battery power, right? Because you're going, AC, DC, AC, DC, or whatever that happens to be. And so that becomes like you lose a lot in that process.
Sure.
And so I was like, okay, this is great for running a projector or speakers or a blender or whatever for those short things. I'm glad I have it. But the Jeep has its inverter. I just don't want the engine running because the idea when you and I started talking about it for the first Jeep that had, as I said, I want to have my house battery system separate from the starting battery because I've had issues before where the starting battery died overnight because of a fridge, cold weather, whatever. And what you allowed me to do is put everything on the house battery system that was an accessory, so nothing touched the factory electronics, which meant that the dealer's not unhappy about it.
Right.
I can also run my GMRS radio or my ham or whatever directly to the battery in the rear and not pick up any engine noise or things like that. And so and not have to run wires to the firewall. So there's all these convenience features. So 100% I want to go back to that. I'd love to figure out like what the battery options are. Obviously the base plates for the mass system. And then I've got a 55 IM fridge. Again, survived the accident, just needs a new hinge on the lid and surprisingly runs and everything.
So that was the only thing we did. Your lid was loose.
Yeah.
We literally popped the lid back in it. And
Isn't that
it was
crazy?
Good to go. Yeah, it's wild.
So I've got that. Plus I like the idea of the IM because you can put ice cubes in your bourbon, but
It's very bougie.
I know. And nobody's pulling everything out of their fridge to fill the ice cube tray up. So I'm just like, that was a silly fun thing. But I'm not doing the trips that I used to do. So I want to get a 45, which you suggested. So I'm listening to you. I'm putting down my Brent said this.
Yeah, so I like to go the other way. Like I want the smallest fridge that I can take. And that served my needs pretty well, which is, counterintuitive from the way most people think. What's the biggest one I can get?
Yeah.
Well, what are you giving up
Yeah.
to take that big fridge?
Well, it's weight, it's electricity and efficiency. It's less Dr. Peppers as I'm giving up the amount of Dr. Pepper, but that's okay.
But so you can chill Dr. Peppers individually.
That's true. I can do that.
You can just rotate things.
No, you're right. That was just me being selfish.
So the other thing that we try to do with our brand is we really try to educate people how we go out and do this type of thing.
Because a lot of people probably knew.
Absolutely. Yep. And one thing that we've been doing recently is talking about ways to prepare for your trips in both terms of education, maps, data, plans, recovery, all that kind of stuff. And one of the things that I've done, which might seem really obvious, and maybe a lot of people have done that, but I've started pre-packing all of my stuff in the fridge, like in Ziploc bags. I mean everything.
You and I even talked about cracking all the eggs, and I think we both do that now, where instead of having the eggs blow up inside your fridge, you crack them ahead of time if you're doing scrambled eggs, put them in a Ziploc or a shaker cup for like a protein shake, and that's the only way to do eggs now. Now I just pour them into the pan, way easier, and you never have to worry about eggs exploding in your fridge.
Yeah. Now the only thing to keep in mind there is like those eggs are done.
Yeah.
You're not going to save those after the event.
No.
So, but yeah, going back to the Ziploc bag thing, like you can take a considerably smaller refrigerator if you don't have to account for all the packaging that this food comes in. Glass jars are a huge no-no.
Or a big like bacon's one of those things that come in a big giant package. But if
Yeah.
you take the bacon out of it, fold it over on itself, it fits in the space of a soda can.
Yep, absolutely.
Instead of folding around the sides and not conforming and taking
so
up corners.
we cut the bacon in half.
Yep.
It goes in half in a Ziploc bag from that point on, and you can actually stack a lot of bacon inside a frying pan like that.
While we're on the thing of fridges, the other thing that I do, kind of my pro tip, is I take 2 of the giant bottles of water and I put them in my freezer, so I have solid ice, and I put those in there if I need to take up space in the fridge, but also if I didn't pre-cool the fridge ahead of time, it helps not have as much draw in the fridge with that in there. And then by the time it melts 2 or 3 days later, it's ice cold water, and you have drinkable water. That's good to go.
Absolutely. Yeah, and to that point, another thing you can do if you don't have a bunch of produce in the fridge is you can run the fridge a lot colder during the day and then let it warm up a little bit at night.
Yeah.
And that works pretty well. So.
And then those new CFX5 fridges with the variable compressors are like
nice.
really efficient.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at getting a 45. So I still think I want to do slide by slide. So retain the slides I had, 45 on the left and box on the right, probably. And then go back to the tailgate table with the switch blanks in there because I had contour switches for operating overhead lights and a couple other things. Plus I had a USB outlet in there for charging phones and stuff like that. That would all stay the same. Still want the MOLLE panels on the side because those were incredibly useful for mounting the SB50 Anderson connector for the solar input. And so the biggest thing now is, okay, shelf or no shelf? I think you've convinced me. The answer is shelf. And I'm thinking, okay, on the 24 Jeep Wranglers that have the power seats, Gladiators, there are companies that make underseat compressor. You can put it under there. It fits, but it's really tight, and I wonder about the heat output of that.
And you're probably going to have to raise your seat some.
And you're going to have to do a seat jacket or something to raise it.
Physically won't fit under there. And the other problem is that if you've got these power seats, the seat's probably moving.
Yeah.
And like when we put it in, even without a mounting bracket at all, that compressor was pushed up to the end of the foam on the bottom of the seat. And you got wires under there. You got stuff that doesn't.
Airbag stuff, heated seats, things that you don't want rubbing off road. So we talked about this a bit about like all the different places. So with my setup, you make a compressor that fits inside the spare tire. With my AV stuff, it's not compatible with that. You make one where it mounts inside, which was an option. But I found a company that takes Milwaukee pack-out boxes, pre-wired, and when we took my compressor out of the destroyed Jeep, basically we just cut all the wires off of it and pulled it out. So the nice thing is I get this pack-out box. I can drop the compressor in there and plug it all in because it's pre-wired, ready to go, mount it in there, and now I can do your shelf with a Milwaukee pack-out plate. I put that on there, and then I put the Starlink mount on top of that, and now I have portable air. I'll just run from the battery, Anderson SB50, and I'll have my solar one, and I'll have my air compressor one on the MOLLE on the side. And then I'll have the Starlink mounted to the top because I won't have a roof rack, so I can see the sky now. And both the Mini and the Pack-Out can go into other vehicles if I need to super easily.
Yep.
And then I think on the right-hand side, I would go with your Dometic water tank holder.
Well,
The look on your face.
Not a good O.
Okay.
So we just got a message from Dometic today that they're discontinuing that Go faucet. So here's my thought on it, and maybe by the time this comes out, we'll know what's happening.
Yeah.
But it's such a successful product that I feel like they probably got another one coming out at some point.
That's what I'm thinking, right? Like there has to be something like that
It's
because that thing
great.
works awesome.
It does. Yeah. There's some things I wish it did better.
A little more GPH or maybe 2 speeds would be nice because there's times where you want just a trickle to get dirt off your hands and you don't want a puddle of mud under you. There's other times you need a little bit more flow.
Sure.
Other than that,
I wouldn't mind a physical button.
Yeah, button would be nice.
I definitely rub that button a lot more than I wish I did to get it to come on. But but to that point, like portable onboard water is pretty cool. There's a lot of solutions for it. I think that's the best one still.
Yeah.
And I'm confident that they'll have something coming out for that.
So fortunately, I found my old bag, my triangle bag, and it still had everything in it, and that's in it. And so I have mine. It works.
Oh, you're good.
So that survived. So anyway, that's kind of my thought process is, okay, we'll do onboard auxiliary house battery. We'll do the tailgate table, keep the slides the way they are because those are super functional for me and how I use it. Add the cargo shelf, the MOLLE panels, and then on the cargo shelf, do the pack out on the left and then do some sort of water carrier on the right-hand side.
So another thing you might think about, there are a lot of batteries now. They're called like a slim battery, so they'll be kind of elongated in one direction and then So like in the Ranger, we have one from Lifetime that's 100 amp hours that's about 2 inches thick. And it looks like like one big giant cell. It doesn't look like a traditional battery. So if you look under the bottom of that cargo shelf, it's sort of concave.
Oh.
So it creates a little cavity under there. And we try very hard not to do what we call orphaning space.
Sure.
So, once we create this product, it makes this space kind of unusable. And we work really hard not to do that. That's one of those spaces that we can occupy with batteries. So like we've done like Broncos, and like a lot of our cargo shelves, the mass cargo shelves use a similar type design. And it's been amazing. So I'm thinking of one Bronco that we've done that has 7 25 amp hour batteries, and 6 of them live under the cargo shelf.
See, that would be awesome if I could do, because if I had, I feel, what was my first Jeep? 75 amp hour and we dropped to 60, or was it?
No, I think that was
Was it 100 and we dropped to 60?
I think it was probably a 50 amp hour at the time, because they've gotten a lot better since then. So.
Yeah, I can't remember. I feel like the old one had more than the 392 did, but then that may have been just because we were trying to find the right batteries for it to fit in that space. But like, I think if I had 100 amp hours, I would probably, like, that would be really good.
We had that
for it.
Odyssey battery in the first one, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
that's right.
That'd be a PC 110.
110, yeah.
Which is like a 48 amp hour.
Okay, so
that you only get about 24 amp hours out of.
Right, and I think I still have that Odyssey sitting on the floor of my garage. So anyway, yeah, if I had 100 amp hours, that would give me enough with solar input for 2 or 3 days of a sunny spot in the same spot, and with me driving every day on an overlanding type trip, I can run the fridge on a hot evening overnight, no problem, and be good to go in the morning.
For me, 100 amp hours is the sweet spot.
Yeah, I think that would be great.
Like you don't ever have to worry about it, or at least the way that we go camping.
Yeah,
because we're not parked in cloudy weather for more than a night.
Yeah.
So
I just need enough to get me going to like 24 hours without the engine running. Basically, gives me a day or two in a spot, and then I'm running and the alternator's charging it back up through the BCDC the next day.
Yeah, and even so, like we're a big proponent of Red Arc solar blankets.
Yeah.
And we run a 240 watt solar blanket.
They make some really nice ones.
Oh, it's so nice.
Yeah.
And they pack so small now, it's crazy. And like when that guy's out and it's direct sunlight, like it's making 12 amps, which is significantly more than all of your accessories running at the same time.
Yeah.
So
I watched even on my monitor before, and I could see even with the fridge running full tilt, even with the radio on, something else, and then I have solar plugged in, and it's like charging way faster than it's taking out. And by noon, I had fully charged batteries. Right. It was like
and that's the thing. Like I've seen us pull 10 amps, fairly common when everything's running. But your fridge is not running all the time.
No.
So
especially the new ones that have the variable compressors on them.
Yeah. I mean, realistically, you're putting half of that back into the battery at the worst scenario.
Yeah.
So. And that's only if you need it. Like most of the time we don't ever pull it out. So it's great.
So my goal is I fly out to Michigan. I'm going to drive the Jeep back home and then try and get some of the stuff I have acquired that, I either replacement or needs to go back in it. And then I'd like to just drive out and spend 3 or 4 days up there with you and just knock everything out, if that works for you.
So I want to make a wager with you.
Oh, man. All right.
Yeah. So you come to me with your best plan.
Okay.
I'm going to bet you
that we change
a case of Dr. Pepper that you leave with something else.
All right.
Yeah. Something better. So that's what we do, right? Yeah. And that's what I would like to think separates us from most of the companies that are installing products.
Yeah.
Like when a build comes into our shop, it's pretty rare that we don't make something for that build that just didn't exist before they came, because everybody's got a different way of doing this.
Well, then I'm just bringing the spare parts that came out of the old one back, and we're just going to go through. You're going to be like red tag or green tag, right? This is going back, and this one's not.
Yeah. Well, we can throw stuff away too.
All right.
So
well, that's my plan. I want to come spend a few days with you, and then maybe what we can do is maybe it's like 2 days install and a night of camping or something like that, and we can get some content around using it. But I'm trying to get a little bit more efficient with space. I'm trying to get a little bit more efficient with weight. So there's some things like I liked having the roof rack. I like the look of it. However, there was always a weight penalty and a aerodynamic penalty. You get the penalty from the Sirius XM antenna not being pointed in the right direction. And then it also allows you to bring more stuff than you really need. So all of a sudden you've got more weight again. And so you go in this vicious circle with it where it's really nice to have when you need it, but the rest of the time it's also there. And so I'm going to back away from that, go slick top. And like I said, that way allows me to mount the Starlink Mini on the inside and secure and just be more efficient. But like a big part of like packing efficiency and setting this up is going to be you and I putting our heads together and figuring out like what's the next version of the AAL stuff that's going to make this work the way it needs to.
So I have some cool stuff to show you.
Okay.
Yeah. We have 3 different slides that we're working with now that aren't public yet.
Okay.
So various capabilities, various strength ratings, a lot of lightweight stuff that's coming down the pike. That's pretty cool. So no, but we're not very stagnant with this stuff. We move on it really quickly. And, sort of every time we take on a new vehicle, we try something different. And a lot of times that whatever that evolved from that gets put into the other product lines as well. So we try to, always be developing something. And, some really cool stuff coming for drawers, which seems like, how could you make a better drawer?
I know. You keep, and even the drawers you have, you keep iterating. So you have there's 2 tabs that you pull together, push down, and pull the drawer out. Well, you made just a really simple handle that snaps over the top of those. So instead of 2 hands, it's 1 hand, and then you can put a label on it.
Right.
Like just little things like that. You're going, oh yeah, that totally makes sense. Why wouldn't you have done that before?
Yeah, it's funny. Like I didn't think much about that because like Australia's been doing that for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
They've just been doing it sort of differently with different products. And the slides that we use are made by Fulter. They're a really, really good slide. They're a lifetime rating anyway. So we did that, and then I got a call from Fulter. Like, hey, we'd like to buy a bunch of your slide handles. I was
Really?
like, why? He's like, well, we've been trying to figure out this design for a couple of years, and you did it. I thought, well, man, that's really cool. So now they're actually, I don't think I can say this publicly, but they're molding the hole that we need into that handle from the factory.
So you don't have to take the extra step now of creating
the
that hole.
hole's already there. So that'll be really cool.
That is really cool.
I don't think that's in their production line yet, but will be very soon. So lots of cool things.
All right. Well, American Adventure Lab is one of my favorite aftermarket companies. Love working with Brit. I've had the opportunity to do it for quite a while now, and I've never been disappointed with the product. And thank you for coming out to the pod shed. I mean,
it's cool.
You're here for an event, and you're like, hey, I'm in town. I'm like, hey, let's do a podcast. So I'm glad we were able to get this together.
It's worked out great.
It's always great to see you. If you guys want to follow American Adventure Lab, it's American Adventure Lab on Facebook. It's at American Adventure Lab on Instagram, and at Adventure Lab on YouTube if you want to watch some of their videos and see how the product works, how it comes together. There's a lot of great content on there. And of course, you can always go to the website, and you can get don't go to the website right now. Don't look at it on your phone while you're driving, or if you're listening to this podcast at your desk at work, because you will get sucked into AmericanAdventureLab.com for hours, and you don't realize how much stuff. And you're like, oh, I want to do the drawers. Oh, this is the math. Oh, there's tall drawers, there's short drawers, there's wide drawers, there's slides, there's all these. Oh, here's the accessories, and all of a sudden you're down a rabbit hole. It's like me when I get a really good long cigar that I know it's going to take 2 hours. I'm going to find 2 hours, or nobody's going to bother me. Do that on the website.
Well, that's awesome. Yep, we would love that.
All right. Well, we'll talk soon. And as soon as I get this thing back, we'll figure out a date. But I'm going to come out to you guys, and we'll make the 392 great again.
Sounds good. We can do it.
Thanks again for all your help getting me through the last few months, and appreciate your friendship. And we'll talk soon.
Okay. Thanks.
All right. So how awesome is Brit from American Adventure Lab? I love having him on. It's been too long. And listen, even if you don't have an application that you can use as cargo storage solutions, or one of his other solutions, there's something he has that you can use, like the paper towel holder on your wife's SUV for soccer games and softball and things like that. That is not an overlanding product. That is an everyday product, and we use it all the time. So anyway, AmericanAdventureLab.com. Thanks to Brit for coming on. So what do you say we head on over to the answering machine and see who left a message on the 5-star hotline?
Oh, come on and be part of the show. Call the 5-star hotline. 657-205-6105. It's the 5-star hotline. 5-star hotline.
Hey, Holman. It's Lars Dewitt calling. Just listening to Have You Heard here. And you're talking about where trucks, all the pickups and stuff are built. It's Oshawa, Ontario. Just figured I'd tell ya. I'm not from Ontario, but yeah. It's amusing when people pronounce town names wrong or whatever. Last names too, for that matter. Anyway, keep up the great work.
And I knew when I said it, I got it wrong. And I just rolled with it in case I got it right. And thank you, Lars, for pointing that out. And in case you're wondering, Lars wasn't the only person to point that out, because we have a lot of Canadian listeners. I love you all. So Sean writes to me, Oshawa. And then just to make sure I got it right, he did a little voice recording for me and sent it via my Instagram.
Oshawa.
Okay, so it's Oshawa.
Oshawa.
I'm saving that as a drop. I'm going to use it at some point, you guys. But thank you for letting me know that I was wrong. It's so hard when you are trying to put together a show and you're like, I don't know what this word is. And you just
Try again.
And you try and then you go, I got to send it. So anyway, I appreciate you guys keeping me honest, because it is always nice when you let me know I messed up, and I'm humble enough to accept that. And I'm not even sad. I'm more amused than anything, seriously. All right, well, why don't we head on over to the Podshed Insiders, because we haven't checked in a bit, and see what's going on in there.
Join the Podshed Insiders. Why not? We're having fun with all that's being said, hooting and hollering in the online shed.
We're having fun, talking trucks, and other totally rad and random stuff.
No matter where you are, hang out in Holman's backyard. Join the Podshed Insiders. Why not?
Oh, one of my favorite intros. So I don't always say who joined the Podshed Insiders week after week. Maybe I did in the beginning, but Marin joined. So she's in there now. So if you guys want to hear more about Marin on the show, or more from her, or even better, if you want to give her an assignment of what you want her to learn and report on, I will do a Marin segment. But you guys have to use the Podshed Insiders, tag her in it, and then give her her assignment. And whatever you guys decide to do, I'm sure she would love to do it. So a few funny posts in there. Rich Humphreys writes, who else is getting a little frustrated with all these AI making trucks, which is like every news story right now is some AI rendering of a truck that's stupid. Shane Jackson posted some great Dr. Pepper content, which I always love inside the Podshed Insiders. Scotty Ace posted the article from Motor Trend that we sort of walked through in the last Have You Heard? And our buddy Dave Graham, who does a bunch of our social, also posted some questions about vibrations on his truck, which actually had a lot of people chiming in on. And one last thing, a few of you chimed in and said that you took advantage of the K&N Filters discount. It's still live right now, just till the end of the month. So make sure, if you want to get a K&N intake, a cabin air filter, a engine filter, an oil filter, go to truckshowpodcast.com, go to featured products, and then you can find out what that discount code is. It's only valid till the end of the month, so you want to take advantage of that right now while you can. Well, I think that's going to do it for this episode of the Truck Show Podcast. But if you get lonely for truck content between episodes, no problem. Just head on over to social, give us a follow at Truck Show Podcast or at Sean P. Holman.
The Truck Show, the Truck Show, the Truck Show, oh, oh.
And we love your feedback. We love when you're part of the show. And we love to be told that we maybe got something wrong or mispronounced the name of your city or something like that. That's a valid reason to either call the 5-star hotline, 657-205-6105, or send me an email, truckshowpodcast@gmail.com. But you can also just send it to ask a question or give some input. It doesn't always have to be Holman messed up. Let's be honest, it probably will be that. Don't forget, join the Facebook group, the Podshed Insiders. It's a great place to hang out with other podcast listeners, and Marin's on there. So give her an assignment. Make sure she has a reason to come back on the show. I know some of you have emailed me or messaged me on social saying, oh, we'd love to have Marin come back. Well, I'm sure she'd love to come back, but she needs an assignment. So send her some marching orders, I guess. Also, don't forget to send in your events, know your notes, and of course, we have to thank the sponsors that make the Truck Show podcast possible. It would not be free. It would not be, I don't know, maybe it wouldn't even be happening without such great companies like AMSOIL. If you love your vehicles like we do, if you want the best in synthetics, you want oil change kits, car care products, and you want something that you can buy easily online, AMSOIL is the company you want to deal with. They make the best stuff, AMSOIL.com. And if you want a great knife to complement your amazing truck, then the fantastic line of Kershaw knives is where you want to go. They've got everything from EDC knives all the way up to more bespoke, made in the USA knives. They have a great lineup, all available at kershaw.kaiusa.com. And don't forget to use our discount code and get yourself a deal. And if you love adventure and four-wheeling like I do, you want to head on over to ovrmag.com for some of the best adventure content out there. Also, if you want the magazine, well, we make a print magazine and a digital version of that. You can get the digital version for free for a year, or you can get a discount on the print magazine 6 times a year. Big, fat, thick, heavy magazine that shows up to your doorstep the way it used to be. So please support us at ovrmag.com. Anyway, thanks for joining me on this episode of the Truck Show Podcast. I really appreciate everybody who listens, and I'm looking forward to doing it again soon.
The Truck Show Podcast is a production of Truck Famous LLC. This podcast was created by Sean Holman and Jay Tillis, hosted by Sean Holman, and uses production elements by DJ Omar Khan and Jay Tillis. If you like what you've heard, please open your Apple Podcast or Spotify app and leave us a 5-star review. And if you're a fan, there's no better way to support the show than by sharing it and patronizing our sponsors. Some vehicles may have been harmed during the making of this podcast.
All right, Canada, this is my punishment for getting the pronunciation of your town wrong. And it's basically just a little self-deprecating Holman for you. Yeah. 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 Me one more time. Yeah. I can't even say shit right now.